Hey, Kiana.
I'm here. I'm
You're
alive.
alive.
I'm alive.
For those of you that didn't know, Kiana got COVID.
I got the bad COVID.
Was not COVID light.
No, I got one of the variants. Do I still have all my Pokemarks? Kinda, you won't be able to see them on camera. I got like 4 separate fucking IVs, 3 in this hand alone. Y'all, you can still you can see the bruise on my knuckle. Yeah, it had to go in my knuckle. My veins kept collapsing. Had a couple vein blowouts. And then I've just been kind of laying here like a limp potato for 2 weeks. And then I got the COVID pneumonia. So like that's still fucking me up, but my doctor said I'm going to be fucked up for a while because I don't have good lungs anyway. So recovering from that will be the longest part for me, but I'm alive and well, and that was a bad time. Don't get COVID. I don't care if you believe in the shot or anything like that. Like, I literally don't fucking care. That's on you. That's your prerogative. Don't fucking get COVID. And if anyone says it's just the flu, tell them to fuck off, because it's not just the flu. It doesn't fucking feel good.
Yeah, it was not a fun time when it went through our house, and you got it worse than we did. So,
well, me and Tyler both got it. So, but he pretty much just had the pneumonia, so he could still take care of me, because I couldn't do anything but like run to the bathroom and try and aim. I didn't eat for like a week solid at all. Or partake of the devil's lettuce. That's how you know I'm sick, is when I'm not smoking. That's how Brandon knows I'm sick.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can't move. Yeah, no, but it was a cool break from Facebook.
Yeah, probably. So
yeah.
Other than getting COVID, anything else new? Probably not.
Not really, because like I am like on doctor's orders to take it easy because of my lungs. Like I am I'm out of the woods for COVID, but not for like secondary issues because of how poor my lung function is to begin with. So I'm not allowed to get winded.
That sucks.
Yeah, and kind of everything winds me lately. So I've just kind of in the last couple days have I started like getting around my house and stuff again. I've been outside a couple times. Oh my god, I forgot what outside was like.
New experience. What is it?
So I listened to that interview we did with Jordan for the first time the other day, and it's like less than a minute in, or something like that, and like you can hear me. I'm like, I'm like, it's fine. It's just my asthma, whatever. And I'm like, but I refused to go to the hospital. And then like I got hospitalized. It was like that night or the next day.
Yeah,
I'm an idiot. Oh, and they were COVID symptoms all along.
Well, I told you to go to the hospital, so
I technically did, but it was when I was in so much physical fucking pain, I thought I was gonna die.
Well, at least you sound better and you look way better. So,
oh yeah, like what is okay? I realize I have like no color, like regardless, but like when I'm sick, I literally look gray. Like I look like gray, and I'm like kind of pink. Like, you know, it's just I don't know. It's good to start feeling like myself again, because that was a fucking bad time.
Yeah. Well, I would like to thank our show sponsor, Miko Reptiles and Enclosures.
Of course.
So if you're looking for some badass PVC racks and enclosures, they can hook you up. They recently made some stuff for Sunchild Exotics for some crested geckos, I believe it was.
I think it's her cresties, gargoyles, stuff like that. But like, look at these enclosures. Aren't those stunning. The enclosures themselves are completely badass. That Miko Reptiles made, and then Kylie over at Sunchild, she of course always makes everything look so fucking cute. Like everything at Kylie's house just looks so cute. So as to her enclosures. And then Kylie's actually refurnishing all of these with stuff from Pet Paradise.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so don't forget to head over to mypetparadise.ca, use code CHP10 off, and get 10% off your entire order.
And that's in all capitals.
Yeah, CHP10 off is all capitals, and that is off their entire website, including their fuzzy pet stuff and
everything.
What am I forgetting? I don't know.
Plants, animals.
Yeah, dogs, all that good stuff.
Fish, everything.
Shipped to your door so you don't have to can interact with anybody.
That's right.
And get COVID.
Well, we should introduce today's guest. As you can tell from the title, we have Michael from Blackheart Exotics and Mike's Rat Shack. Are you clicking the button?
Yeah, I can push the button.
There we go. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
This is fantastic. I have lots of questions in regards to rodent diets, because that's something that's usually not really talked about.
Well, and rats are also illegal in Alberta, so we just kind of like don't know anything about them because we live in this weird little paradox place. But it's something that most of our audience does have to deal with. So
yeah,
we just don't deal with live ones.
Because rats come to the border and then they realize it's Alberta and they're like, oh, I'm not allowed here. I'm going to turn around.
And they run back to BC or Saskatchewan.
So you feed frozen thaw rats there? You just can't get the live then?
Yeah. So Canadian Mouse Man's kind of like the main guy for rat supply out here, and he's really awesome. We can have ASFs and all that stuff and breed them. It's just not the big ones.
Yeah, just not the rats.
Gotcha.
Lots of mice breeders and ASF breeders, so that's kind of nice.
But, devil dogs. ASFs are something else.
Yeah, they're fun.
I hear they're a nightmare. I don't breed them. I just feed them to things.
They can go either way.
Yeah. I think it's definitely genetics that you have to breed for. I've had some real mean ASFs, and they are not worth it. But I have, like, right now, all my colonies, I can go in, give them love and all that stuff, and I don't trust them. You know, like, I'm not going to stick my finger in front of their mouth, but they'll let you, like, pet them and give them little head scratches and stuff. But I still don't trust them because it's a rodent.
I find it's easier to socialize ASFs one-on-one than in a group. If you put your hand in a little group of mean ASFs, you're just getting bit from 5 different angles. But if you work on your breeders one at a time and slowly switch them over to warming up to you, that's the way I did it anyway. But
yeah, and they're awesome once you get some good ones, I think.
Yeah. Well, they make just as good a pet as a rat. They make just as good a pet as a rat, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you just have to get good genetics with, like, tamer lines, and they're super. I find them pretty sociable. I'll open my bins and they're like, hello, food lady. When you open it, we get treats.
Yeah.
It's like, I know they're feeders and like they're being bred for food, but I feel like I give them like a pretty decent life considering they live in bins. They get enrichment, which I think is probably more than a lot of rodent breeders do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But let's get into your side of things, because I know about ASFs and stuff. I have them. But tell me about these rats, because all my family that lives in BC and Saskatchewan has them as pets, and they're really fucking cute and adorable, and I can't have them, and I really want them because they get big, and I'm not allowed to have a ferret.
Yeah, so I've bred everything from mice to ASF to rats and all types of animals, but rats are my forte, and I like them. They're a great species to deal with, and they are easy to bond with. That's for sure. So I don't produce them for just to keep my foot off the bench. I don't produce them as pets all that much anymore. It's primarily a feeder thing for me. So that's where I'm at with it. I started probably 10 or 11 years ago breeding mice. I used to have corn snakes, and I would go into a local pet store to get my mice. And I went into one day, and there was a sign on the shelf where the mice were saying we're temporarily out of mice for a week or two. So no problem. My snake can go a week or two. It happened again a month later, and the sign said we're going to be out for about a month. So
Holy,
yeah,
that's hard to deal with.
It's my first time dealing with any type of rodent shortage in any way. I was pretty small time back then. And so I asked the pet store owner if he could order me a few mice, special orders, so I could start my own breeding colony. Just in case this kind of thing kept happening, I'd be able to support myself through those slow times. So he did that. Fast forward 5-6 months, the sign came up again. No mice for a month. So by that point, I had already had about 1,000 mice saved up in the freezer. And I went in and asked the pet store owner, do you need a hand? Do you need some mice? And he bought them all off me right there. And so begun our relationship, which has been going on for 8 years now, approximately. And I sold him a lot of mice over the years, a lot of rats, ASFs, and I became his main rodent supplier, and then eventually his only rodent supplier. And he was my main customer to start off. He's a pretty big customer. It's a Southwest Pet here in London, Ontario. And then I started taking in breeders as customers. So there were ball python breeders in the area that I wanted to get to know. And I thought a good way to get to know them is to become their rodent breeder. So I started selling rodents to various ball python breeders around my area. And that's pretty much it. My business has been running for a good 8 years as Mike's Rat Shack now. And we're slowly tipping into the ball pythons. We've been doing ball pythons as well. But the rodent business kind of took off for us before the ball python business did. So I'm more known for Mike's Rat Shack, I think, out there. But we're slowly, like I say, we're tipping it over to Blackheart Exotics.
That's cool. That's really cool. I've started kind of a similar relationship with my local pet store. Every week they order in 12 live mice and whatever they get for frozen stuff from their supplier. Anytime they have someone that comes in requesting live pinkies, size they don't have, whatever, they give them my phone number, and that's kind of how I've been getting all my local customers. And I just live in kind of like a yeehaw small farm town, so it's cool to be able to support the local store and stuff like that. And if they ever have a shortage with their supplier, I know that I can just run some over and covers their back. But yeah, starting with the pet stores was really great to do. You see people spamming the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh my god. But yeah, no, I think the pet store route's a really awesome way to go to start off with it.
Yeah, and I happened upon a really good pet store too. So I started off with 7 or 8 glass tanks, but in no time, as their customer base grew in reptiles, my business grew alongside with them, and we very quickly had to move to another building, then another building, and they go through thousands of rodents a week there at our local pet store. And there's 2 pet stores in London. One of them is Pet Paradise. I know everybody knows Pet Paradise, and they're pretty much neck and neck. They supply the whole city of almost 500,000 people, those 2 pet stores. And yeah,
that's wicked. Oh my god, I forgot what I was gonna say. There's Foster. I keep telling him he has to come on next. I've been bugging him for a while.
Yeah, he'll be a good guess. Foster's
See, come on the show.
So, since you've been breeding rats for a long time, has your diets changed at all since you started compared to now?
I pretty much started with good rat food right off the hop. So when I got into it, there were no rat breeders willing to share any information with me. YouTube was still just kind of taking off, and there weren't that many rodent videos. I searched and searched and searched, and it was all guys with 7 or 8 tubs in their basement, and it wasn't what I was looking to emulate. The only person out there who had anything worth watching was Ralph Davis, and Ralph Davis Reptiles. He had an 8-part rat barn series that he used to play. And I learned everything off of there, including start with the best of everything. So right off the bat, I started with good food. I started with little boxes of, rat-made rat chow off the shelves for $20. Quickly, that wasn't working. And then I started ordering the bags, and I use Purina rat chow right now. And so around 18% protein is what you're looking for. And I just believe in using rat chow, the food that's designed for rats. I don't believe in mixing up fox food with pig food, with bird seed and all this jazz. There are people who have done the formula and the homework for us. So let's just feed them the feed. And it's not that expensive. It's $25 a bag for a 50-pound bag. So
That's not too bad.
no.
And do you just get that at the feed store?
I have a feed mill just out here local that orders it in for me. I could go straight to Purina myself, but I don't deal with headaches and little things very well. So occasionally you'll get an order that's all powdery and it needs to be returned, and you got to deal with somebody, and I don't want to deal with it. I got too much going on. So I'll pay the middleman $1 or $2 markup a bag in order to keep that headache
Yeah,
away.
that makes sense. I get all my feed through UFA, and they don't like ordering anything in, and they sometimes you get good bags, sometimes you get just dust bags, and it sucks.
Yeah, the dust bag's horrible. It just goes to waste. It dusts your whole shop up. It smells stuff up. It's
It's
not good
nasty.
for anybody.
Yeah.
My feed mill doesn't mind ordering it in, since we go through about 100 bags a month. They make their $1 off me. So
I was about to say you probably order in bulk or probably by the pallet.
yeah, a couple pallets a month minimum. So 80 to 100 bags.
How many bags come on a pallet?
40.
That's quite a few.
Yeah.
That's a lot of rats to feed. How many rats do you produce on average?
It's always changing. To produce is hard to figure out. I mean, probably 1,000 or so a month. But I have probably 1,200 female breeders right now, give or take. I've got about 210 male breeders. And that's, with that, I produce about 1,000 a week.
That's
Wow.
So I tell people around 50,000 a year average.
That's
That's rats. When we did mice, fruit flies in here. When we did mice, we did almost twice that in mice. I don't do mice anymore, but
Do you still breed ASFs?
I don't,
Or
unfortunately.
You're just strictly rats now.
Now I am, yeah. I've had, unfortunately, a few outbreaks over the years. It's something you deal with in rodent breeding, and I had a couple of real costly outbreaks with the rats, and I had one with the mice, and I had one with the ASFs, and after dealing with some of these were $30,000-$40,000 outbreaks. I mean, the entire business shut down, everything in the shop dead, restarting 6 months. Working all your customers that do leave you during that time, you got to work to get new customers back, and it's a real. For most people, they close their doors when that happens, and it happened to me just time after time. Like I say, every mistake you can make in this thing, I've made, and anything that can happen to you, even if it's not your fault, has happened to me. So I've had meningococcal, which wiped me out, streptococcus pneumonia, wiped me out, rat mites, rat fleas, just you name it, diseases I can't even pronounce.
That's not a fun time, because that takes like you said, 6 months to recover from that, and that's a long period of time.
Yeah, I'd say my first 3 years I didn't make $1, and every time I make $5,000-$6,000, the losses just would be pile up 3-4 times that much. So I went in debt every year, a little more and more for the first 3 years, until I finally figured it all out and it started to turn around. I went with a year or two without any mishaps and stuff like that. So advice I give to somebody is don't bring any. You have a collection of 100 rats and you start to think they're getting a little stagnant. They're not as many babies, whatever. Maybe I'll bring some other rats in and introduce them to my colony. It's the worst thing you could do. I caught one of the outbreaks that I had out of all my outbreaks was caused by that. I brought in some new rats. I introduced about 100 rats to the 700 or 800 I had. And the 100 rats, all rats carry diseases of all sorts, and they're just immune to them for the most part. And when you start mixing colonies, the one colony might be immune, the other one might not. So when I brought 100 rats in, my 600 were unable to handle whatever this 100 had. So my 600 died and the 100 lived. That was a pretty bad. And then I've had other ones.
That's not a fun trade-off.
No. And then Streptococcus pneumonia took out about 90% of my collection in about 72 hours. It was pretty bad too.
Wow.
So when you start to notice symptoms of stuff, do you go get them tested at the vet, or what's kind of your process when you notice the bad stuff happening?
So for me, it happens so fast you can't get your arms around it. You're trying to figure it out after the fact. So I came in the one day and I opened the tub and there was 2 or 3 dead pregnant females, a bunch of dead babies. I opened the tub next to it, same thing. Tub next to it, same thing. It was a pretty panic feeling immediately. Just, oh shit, the entire wall almost dead. So I started looking for, is it spreading throughout the wall like an RI or something like that? This is like, I was in here yesterday. There wasn't a single sick rat. All of a sudden, an entire wall's dead. There was no boundaries. It was through the entire room. The only thing there was my jumbo males, all 70 of them were alive. Every last pregnant girl in the room was dead. Every last baby in the room was dead. Every female over a year old was dead. So there was the strong males and the strongest, youngest females survived and everything else died. So that was our only clue pretty much. We took the surviving ones and a few dead ones to the vet. I spent thousands of dollars. He spent an entire 8 or 9 hour day dissecting rats with me, trying to teach me how to figure out what organs had failed, why they failed, stuff like that. Wow. So, and it gets more and more costly trying to figure out what happened. So we know that the one outbreak was pneumonia. We don't know what caused it. We were already at $2,800 in vet bills. And now we're like, okay, do we send body parts to all these different places in the United States, trying to figure out, testing for individual ailments, trying to figure out what it was. And the vet's advice, and this was a zoological vet I was going to, he's a really schooled veterinarian, and he told me this, it's an outbreak, it's done with, it's like pigs. You have to completely start over and work on your precautions not to let it happen again.
So when you do find your colonies going stagnant, what do you do in that case then? Or do you just, I don't know. What do you do then?
When I got meningococcal, that was my big problem, is I found my bigger females were giving me good litters. Everything's going good. Why call them or replace them? I was still new and whatnot. And meningococcal, how it affects rodents is it comes through and attacks the oldest and weakest, kind of like a hospital. It goes through old age homes and kills off anybody who's already at death's door or who has a really bad ailment. And then it's gone. And the strongest survive type deal. So, shoot, what was the question again? Sorry, I trail off sometimes.
When you notice your collections are getting stagnant or inbred, I don't know.
I know what you mean.
I'll leave inbred for my next question.
Usually it's a lack of babies that tips you off that your females are going stagnant. And so, like I was saying, I kept mine too long and too old, and they end up getting meningococcal. But really, just to keep your litters at a good size, you want to be replacing your females on a regular basis. And that's how your colony gets stagnant, is just by letting your females get too old. So my date is 12 months. I don't let a female live past 12 months. So, and I can tell by size when they're at about 12 months. So a female will produce really good between 6 months and 12 months. And she'll keep producing good after 12 months for a few months. But you got to have a cutoff date somewhere. And you don't want to leave it to where they're not producing. You want to replace them before they get to that stage. And by replace within your own colony. Don't bring new stuff in. It's harder when you have a smaller colony because you can only inbreed or line breed so many times with a rodent, maybe 10 times or so before you start to see docked ears and tails and stuff like that. So within a small colony, you're constantly breeding related animals to one another. The bigger colony you have, the less likely you are to direct relative breed your rodents, and you don't have to worry about it as much. So the smaller people, I would say, breed for 4 or 5 years, start over, all new rodents, as opposed to introducing something. The bigger guys, we can just keep going until we inevitably get an outbreak or we retire.
Yeah, that makes sense though. It's good to have like a different option, right? Because most people just, assume you throw some new genes in.
Yeah.
That is 100% what I do.
That's the biggest assumption, and I get it from rodent breeders all the time. Can I get 50 of your rats? I want to infuse your Mike's Rat Chat rats in with mine so they're friendly. And I'm like, it's the wrong thing to do. As healthy as my rats are, I'm under no illusion that they might not have something that yours are not immune to. So,
see, a local rodent breeder, he has to move out to Winnipeg or somewhere out there, and so he basically sold half his collection to me, and I think Miko probably got the other half of it, to be honest with you. And then I got a couple of the racks from the original breeder from Miko, and now I have like all of it now, but Miko Reptiles, and I I grab rodents from them every now and then, but those rodents also primarily came from the same source, which is the original breeder. So
yeah, fingers crossed.
hopefully I didn't fuck anything up.
Yeah, it can be done. It's just you don't want to do it when it's your livelihoods on the line.
Well, and no, Tyler, gross. Sorry if anyone heard that. It's almost as bad as when Brandon farted on a live. I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh my God.
I guess it's just as bad mixing ball python or snake collections or anything. You always run the risk that the built up immunity in one collection is not necessarily built up in another.
Well, and you were saying that like they all carry diseases, and it kind of depends on each colony being strong against this, where this colony is strong against this. But is there a way you could quarantine new stuff, or is it just not worth it at all, in your opinion?
You could, but there's 1,200 breeder females in the room. You can take maybe 10 or 20 of them, quarantine them in another room. Maybe nothing will happen. And then you bring it into the main room and it does happen. So
yeah,
for me, it's not worth it. I don't know what I would do if I had another outbreak. They're gut wrenching.
Well,
you open the door and realize what's going on, especially once you've been through one or two, you can fast forward 6 months. I'm going to lose multiple customers. I'm going to have to rebuild my name. I'm going to have to rebuild my collection. I'm going to, on and on. And it's not fun.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I can't imagine the process of going through cleaning it, sterilizing everything, and then there's the emotional toll on top of it as well. Because when you have those animals for as long as you do care about them. Regardless of what they were bred for, you do care about them. As long as you're a good person.
Yeah, 100%. I breed more with my males than my females because I allow my males to live for 2 or 3, 4 years, and there's less of them. And I feel like a well-pampered male is a really good breeder. So I try to bond with almost every male that will allow me to. And therefore, every male that passes on or I got to put down or whatever, I remember all of them. Like, it's ridiculous.
They're all individuals to you. It's not just It's not just a group of rodents.
Can ask the girls at the pet store that I supply. I've come in with rats over the years. Okay, this guy's 3 years old. He's got to go. No, next time, and I'll bring him home with me. And a year later, I'll try again. That thing's still alive? Yeah, take him. No, wait, and I'll take him back. He's still out in the garage right now, 5.5 years old, decrepit. I got to go out and snap one of his teeth tonight with a dog nail clippers because his one tooth keeps hooking up. He's just should have been put down a year ago, but I can't do it.
Is having a heart such a bad thing? And obviously he's getting the care that he needs if you're trimming his teeth and stuff like that too. So that's something you have to do with rabbits every now and then.
Cool. Nope. Any questions in there tonight? Or?
I think we just had one pop up. Okay. Here's the first question. Can you read that, Mike? Or I can read it out loud if you need.
Yeah, I know this might be unrelated, but my mom said she had to raise her own animals for food because people stopped farming animals. She would rather go vegan because she doesn't want to have to deal with an animal dying outside her control. Yeah, I get that. It's hard. I the first few times you open tubs and see rodents with a crook neck, I call it, they've had a stroke, or maybe the other ones they're eating it or whatever, and you think maybe they turned on it, but actually they just died and they're eating it because it's nutritional for them. But all that kind of stuff kind of gets to you when you first get into it. You have to desensitize yourself when you're farming any type of animal. It's hard to do. Like I say, you bond with a lot of the animals and stuff, but most of them are destined for a snake's belly, and you got to take that in too. So
I think the main goal is to provide the best life for that animal regardless of its purpose. Just because it's being raised to be food doesn't mean it deserves any less treatment than what you would give a pet or something else. Just because it's food doesn't mean it's less deserving of good quality life, I suppose.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I'm probably the only one. Sorry?
Well, I was gonna say, I've worked in a slaughterhouse before, and their practice was farm to market. So the family raised all the beef, owned the slaughterhouse, or not beef, pork, in the particular place I worked, owned the slaughterhouse and owned a market that sold the product. So everything was really ethical and humane, and that's the only process I've known, is how to raise something for food is in that environment, and everything was just really clean and respectful at all times. So when I started raising my own rodents for feeders, rabbits, quail, stuff like that, I tried to put that same practice into my own application, and it's take good care of them, and they provide you with a good nutrition source. Because if your animal, or if an animal gets stressed out when it's dying, it ruins the meat. It lowers the quality. Like it totally lowers the quality. So why would it be any different in a feeder?
No, 100%. It cheapens the whole process. I pet my rodents right up to the tub, literally petting them behind their ear. I open the tub and I set them in, and right until the last minute, they're feeling loved. I believe in full empathy. I've worked at a few places on the opposite spectrum. I've bred pigs before in the past for big companies, and I've worked at butchers, and the practices were not humane when I worked there. And it was a horrible sight. It's stuff that sticks with you forever. And I like to think that what I'm doing, I can sleep at night. I care about every last animal, what happens to them. And while, like I said, you do have to put down sick animals all the time, and you have to gas and freeze animals so people can feed them their snakes and all that. They are animals right up to the end, and it's the same as having a chicken or a cow or anything else. There are farmers out there who kick their chickens and kick their cows, and there are farmers out there who wouldn't dare. And it's the same thing with what we do. And unfortunately, there aren't as many empathetic rodent breeders as there should be, from giving the rodents proper air quality, to cleaning the rodents properly, to treating the rodents with compassion, to any of that. But there's a few of us out there, and I try and stick with that little group.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of your live videos and just kind of watched your process, and I really enjoy it. Watching you interact with the animals is really nice because you can tell you give a shit. You're not just like grabbing them and throwing it in the next bin. You grab it, you give it a quick little look and check it out, and then put it in the next bin, and then you go and clean it all out and stuff. I don't know. I like watching your process. I like the fact that you give a shit about these animals. It's just nice and refreshing. But we do have a couple questions popping up.
Yeah, we got quite a few now.
All right. We got one from Dom DeFalco right here. A few questions about maintaining feeders. What kind of diet are you feeding your feeders? 2, how do you maintain dignity for your feeders? Like, do you provide them any sort of enrichment to enhance the quality of life? Dom, you're late.
Cool. So I feed mine nothing but rat chow, food designed for rats. I go with Purina rat chow. There's all types of different kinds. I haven't tried the other one, so I can't speak for them. I have tried Master Feeds. It's a slightly cheaper kind, but it worked just fine as well. They just had quality control issues, so we ended up with Purina. As far as giving them dignity, I don't know how to answer that question.
Based on what I have observed you doing, I think rodents in your care probably have a more dignified life than most, in my opinion.
The enrichment thing I can address. I mean, I don't give my rats blocks or toys to play with or any of that jazz. I don't think they sell those in the wild, and I don't think they need them in their tubs either. I talk to my rats a lot. I sing to my rats. I joke with my rats. I tell my rats jokes, and then I laugh at my own jokes in front of them. I play opera in my shop for about 12 hours a day, and the other 12 hours I play birds chirping with a spring brook sound in the background. So I want them to feel like it's summer year round, like everything's happy and the world's great. And they love the opera. They love any type of slow, whatever, datey type pop music. They don't like rage, devil, heavy metal or any of that shit. But they do tend to like the other ones, and they enjoy the bird sounds as well, I think. So that's the only enrichment I really give them. When I'm cleaning tubs, I'm talking the whole time. I'm just talking to the rats. I'll see a rat looking at me through a screen over there, and I'll just, hey, buddy, what's going on? And I'll keep working. And if he's looking at me a minute later, I'll open the tub and I'll pet him on his head and I'll close it. And it keeps me going. It keeps me happy. And that rat will remember me opening the tub and petting him on the head 3 weeks from now. They have great memories. And every time you take a second to bond with each individual rat in the room, there's a lot of them, but when you get time, it's a long-lasting effect. Like a year later, when you open the tub and 5 of them run to the back and one runs over and looks at you, that's one that you spent a minute with a year ago and you might just not remember. And so
that's awesome.
That's the enrichment question.
I wonder if the opera has any effect on them.
They seem to like it. I mean, honestly, I'll be honest, I grew a lot of weed in my younger days, and I played music in my weed rooms for over 20 years, and I guarantee it helps plants grow, and I guarantee the rats.
That's been proven, actually.
Yeah, no, 100%. I read a lot of literature growing up, and that's where I got it from. And the reason I started doing it with the rodents was there's a seasonal effect that happens twice a year as you're going into winter and coming out of winter, where it's just an instinct within the rodents. All they want to do is escape, not breed, chew all their food and let it go everywhere. They just want to destroy your shop and escape. That's all they want to do. But if you can trick them into not noticing the season change, so I try and boost my heat up in the shop. So as we're going into winter, it's actually hotter than it was in the summertime, and the birds chirping coming in, and then the singing nonstop, and it just, they don't even notice the season change. And if you can successfully do that, there are chunks of the year where your rodents don't breed properly, and there are big shortages during those chunks. If you can make it through those times without those rodents noticing the season change, then you can actually alleviate that shortage during those times. So it took me 7-8 years before I happened upon that, but it's been working great for me. So
that's awesome. That's really cool. Something I never really considered, actually.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. I enjoy opera and I enjoy birds. And
why not, right? And it's not going to be harming them anyway.
No.
So, for enrichment for my mice and stuff, I throw in I have kids, so I have a never-ending supply of cardboard snack boxes, paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls. So every time there's an empty box, tube, whatever, that gets thrown in the bin, because I'm just recycling, I guess. Yeah. Chew this, not your bin, you little asshole.
I admit in the beginning I did do that as well. Cheerios is really good for them, not the honey nut Cheerios, but the basic Cheerios. There's good ingredients in that for a treat. So I used to give them Cheerios all the time in empty boxes. I used to give them the toilet paper rolls. You'll watch 1 or 2 of them die in there and you won't do it anymore. You get fat ones trying to make it through that can't make it all the way through, and I've had that happen a couple times. But
I think
But
my ASFs are the only thing I'd have to worry about that with.
yeah, little chubby guys.
Maybe I'll
But
just give them to the mice.
in the beginning, you tend to do all that. When I had 20 or so tubs, it wasn't as big a deal to throw carrots in and any type of little stuff like that for them to play with. But when you get up to 300 and something tubs that have to be cleaned 2-3 times a week, it's even the little cut 2x4s. I would buy 2x4s and cut them into 1,000 pieces and throw a piece in every. 2 days later, they're covered in poop under the wood chips. And if you want to salvage them, you're scraping poop. It just adds a lot to an already long day.
So one day I had the great idea to make little popsicle stick hides for every one of my rodent bins. And this is when I first got into the mice. So it was only a couple months ago, but I think I only had 12 bins at the time. I'm at like 50 now, something like that.
Cool.
But so great idea. And like I buy all these popsicle sticks. I'm like gluing them, like hot gluing them all together and making this elaborate house. I got one done. Put it in. And they use it. They love it. They love it. It is covered in piss.
Oh yeah.
It is disgusting. So it gets chucked.
Yeah.
We're not doing that again.
So you're having good luck breeding the mice, are you?
Yeah. I had one bin that I called the cursed bin, and like I sexed every rodent in that bin so many times I can't even tell you. And it was like, okay, 4 females, 1 male. Yes. These are balls. You have balls? Yes, these are balls. And that bin didn't produce a single baby for months and months and months. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So like, I'm like, okay, maybe the male's something's got to be wrong with the male, right? So he becomes food. I throw in another male that was one that I had produced, and it was a little bit younger, and it didn't end up being a male. So now I actually have a male in there, and the cursed bin is no longer the cursed bin. But there's been lots of trial and error, and some good stuff and some bad stuff, and sucks when they go on a massacre, and you feel like shit because it's like, what did I do? I'm responsible for these. What do I do? Why did you massacre your entire bin? So it's just learning process.
Yeah. Mice can be so finicky, especially that whole turning on each other thing.
Oh, you had babies today, but your bin's full of shit and disgusting and needs to be cleaned because it's cleaning day. But if I disturb you, you'll eat everything.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want a clean bin or do I want offspring? But I do have some mamas that are amazing, and they'll take in anything that I try and foster to them, and those are the real OGs. I love those girls. But like, there's just ones that you really get attached to. I have one that just I don't know if when it was younger its tail got eaten or if it was born without one. I have no idea. But he's got a little like round bum and no tail, and I love him because he's funny looking. He looks like a hamster.
Nice. When it's genetic, it's called a Manx, and if it's not genetic, it's just a deform or whatever.
I think it was just a deformity cool. Or someone ate it. But he was a pain in the ass to catch, though.
Yeah.
Because normally I just grab him by the tail, but whatever. We have a couple more questions in here. Actually, we have a lot. Colibrid Empire says, "Oh, that's Cold-Blooded Empire." Sorry, I'm so sorry. Question from William. Okay, sweet. Now I know names. What is your favorite part of being a rat breeder, or favorite memory of yours that makes? I don't think that it belongs there. Oh wait, makes it worth all the hard work. Man, I just can't read.
My favorite part. My favorite parts would be I'm working with animals. I always wanted to work with animals. I'm my own boss. I put myself in a position over the years to where any annoying customer, anyone who gives me any grief, anybody who adds any stress to my weekly order, there's so many waiting to get in behind you. There's people waiting to get in behind you that I'll never get to. So I've been able to tailor the business to having nothing but friends as customers. Every one of my customers I look at as a friend, right up to the pet store. There's 20 people that work there, and I love every one of them. They're all just great people. So I get to work with people I like. I get to work with animals, and it facilitates what I really love, which is ball pythons. So good question, Will.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got a couple more here.
Cool.
Larry says, how do you keep the different sizes separated? I have probably 500 rats, and I'm having a hard time finding a way to make sure I have all sizes for my customers.
That's a good question.
It is, especially, and the answer might be different with live versus frozen.
Yeah, definitely. So meticulously, I guess you could say. From sitting here right now, I can tell you about how many rats are in my barn, in the thousands with what's growing up, down to 50 or so, because I keep that good of a track at it. So I take them out of the breeding tubs when they're pregnant, and I put them into the prego tubs. So they're pregnant in there for 1 week, at which time they get moved over one rack, and now they give them birth. So now I'm counting babies from that point on. I want 30 babies and 3 mothers in every tub. And then they get down the line a little bit, and now they're not pinkies anymore. Now they're pups, and I don't want them overcrowded like that. So now I wean the tubs down to 25 babies and 2 moms. So you get a little less in the tubs as you go down. And you're selling some pinkies and fuzzies and freezing stuff, so you're able to take 5 out of 30 and keep moving them type thing. So when they get to a little bit bigger than pups, then they get separated from their moms and they go in their own tubs. And then I have 1 full rack of pups, 1 full rack of weans, 1 full rack of smalls, 2 racks of mediums, a rack of larges, and whatever doesn't fit in there gets frozen. So I've got it worked out to where if I keep that wall full of grow-ups, that takes care of every live customer I have. That takes care of my collection. And out the end of it, so whatever doesn't get sold by the time it gets to the end, it gets infused into the system. You're constantly replacing 50 females every week in order to keep those girls under 12 months of age. So that's how you keep it alive. I have a certain number of tubs I've gotten used to keeping full, 80 weans in these, 50 smalls in these, 20 smalls in these, and I know just from here how many are in there. And anything above that gets frozen. Through the wintertime, we don't freeze. The numbers go down quite a bit, especially up here in Canada. It's really hard to breed throughout the winter months. You can do it, but it tapers down to almost 50%. So in the summer, we have large bursts of rodents going through the shop where we fill our freezers. I have 5 freezers, and I'll fill all those freezers 5 times over this summer, and I'll wholesale most of that through one of my wholesalers.
Wow.
Really efficient.
I'm getting ideas to redo my entire mouse setup though. Well, that's been my thing. It's like, how do I get the right amount of right sizes kind of thing, right? So whenever I have a fresh batch of pinkies born, I'll grab half of them because I only have a couple pinky eaters, so I grab half, I cull those, and they just go in the freezer. And that covers that reduces the load on the mom. The remaining babies can grow up faster, fatter, all that good stuff. And then kind of after that is when it's just, what size do I need more collar birds. I really need more collar birds. That's the answer to all my problems.
So do you end up with an overage of mice then, do you? Like too many, or?
We've started filling the freezer, which was the point of them. But it feeds all my snakes that are small enough to still be on mice, with a little bit going in the freezer every month. It's not it's not a hell of a lot going in the freezer every month, but it's stock to have when I need it, right? So
definitely.
I'm just happy my collection's being fed for way cheaper because the cost of a feeder, like an adult feeder mouse at the local store here, is $4.
Holy shit.
Sorry, it's $3.75, but the 25 cents doesn't make it any better. And as soon as they raised their price to $3.75, I said, "Fuck this! We're getting mice and we're breeding them," and that's how I started it. And now they refer customers to me. So
Cool. Very
problem
cool.
solved. And I just tell the customers, I was like, "You'll spend like, I charge less than half their price, and it's not even me being an asshole. It's me going by feeder prices, not pet store prices."
Yeah.
I told the pet store I could probably beat their supplier and still charge them retail price. Because I think whoever their supplier is fucking them over.
Yeah, sometimes it's the supplier and sometimes it's the markup.
Yeah. That's true.
Because I'm a little shocked at the markup sometimes when I sell to in-betweens and then I see it at the other end. I'm like, whoa. But it is what it is. That guy is willing to put out $1,000 to hold on to something and sell it piece by piece. It's the profit they're going to make.
Exactly.
I saw someone, what was it? Oh, was that Jurassic chip, Brandon? I buy my Jurassic chip from Pet Paradise, and it's like $20. And then I saw someone on the West Coast selling it for like $10 more than that, and I was like really confused by the no, that wasn't what it was. Their price was the person on the West Coast, their price was way higher, and if you bought like 200 pounds, the price went down to still $10 more than Pet Paradise's retail cost.
Yeah.
It also depends how much each place buys in bulk too, because that would lower their cost. So
you see that with rodents too. People just getting into it think that their small rodents are worth $7 a piece, and you see these outrageous price lists that are just like, holy shit, buddy. Nobody's gonna buy 10 smalls for $70. Come on.
You go to Petland and buy like a small rat for like $18. So.
Seriously, I've seen some crazy stuff. I was up in Montreal and I took a picture of a couple rats for the same thing in the teens. I couldn't believe it, but
yeah, it's
there's a bona fide rodent shortage in our country. It's not getting better. Prices, I don't want to alarm you, prices are going up even more than they have. I was in this for 3-4 years, like I say, spinning my wheels, and then when I finally started having a couple good years, they weren't good enough, man. Like I put in 60, 78 hours a week building this business and I was making 10,000 a year. That's not fair. And then you have half the community. These rat breeders are taking advantage of us. $1.50 a rat. My God, we were starving at $1.50 a rat. We literally were. And it was, do I want to keep doing this? And I don't, for that kind of profit. There's got to be something in it if I'm going to quit any real job and do this as a full-time thing. So I decided I had needed to raise my prices, and I raised them to $250. And I got a lot of flack for that. I lost half my customers, and even my full-time, my bigger customers, they went to, well, we're going to get half off you and half elsewhere. You know, we understand you got to raise your prices, but we can still get them for this much here. Well, eventually everything took suit. So we're all up around $250 now. And if you're not, your rats are smaller or you're newer and you haven't realized yet that you need to make a profit in order to survive in this thing. So it's, and right now we're at that supply and demand thing going on to where out west is buying a lot of the rats from out east. I see people here buying them up by the thousands and sending them out west. And I've been saying for the past year to people here, it's going to get bad pretty soon. If they're sending them out west, we're already having shortages here. And now they're heading out west because they're willing to pay twice as much out there. That's how bad the shortages are there. It's going to get nothing but worse. And then 2 or 3 bigger breeders shut down every summer, and it has been getting worse and worse. And I'm seeing these big ball python breeders with collections that are worth $1 million sitting idle for an entire year because they can't afford to feed them. Not money wise, they can't get the rodents. So
yeah, I know some places here in Alberta they import rodents from the States because
the States, so China, all around the world. Yeah.
And then you don't really know what those rodents are being fed either, especially if they're coming from China. You don't know if they're being fed the higher quality diets or just low quality diets.
Yeah, and all the cleaning practices, it all makes a big difference to me. You get a rodent in that was raised in a room without proper air circulation, that rodent stinks like pneumonia. It's got a really shitty smell to it. It's not the same smell you would get from a rat running around in the wild or whatever. So the cleanliness of rooms, what they're being fed, bugs, all types of problems. I mean, a lot of these big people who export and import large amounts, they don't breed them all themselves. They have a network of people they get them from, and they don't know what illness, what kind of bugs, anything that can be going on, and it just gets sent out around the world, and you get your packages. Oh shit, that looks like it's been de-thawed 3 times, garbage. So I'm in a totally different business than that. I have a structured clientele, and my customers are 50 to 100 snakes a piece, weekly, bi-weekly. If you don't show up for 2-3 months, feel free to call me, but you're gone and somebody else is taking your place. I expect you to feed your collection if you're going to be with me. I'm here for you. I expect you to be here for me. It's a back and forth thing. You're lucky to have a really good rodent supplier. I tell a lot of people, like, a lot of people take it for granted. And then by the time they realize, I pissed off the wrong rodent supplier, they're out of the hobby because they literally can't get the rodents to supply their collections with. So,
yeah, I notice sometimes my rodents can be hit and miss.
Yep.
Recently, I had a small rat that behind the front legs was decapitated, I guess it would be, in the bag. It was weird. Like, and I don't know what happened, if it like broke off in freezing, but everything was like perfect.
Yeah.
So I didn't feed that because I was like, this is strange, and I don't know why it happened.
It's open.
Yeah. And
It's open.
I have a
weird smell too sometimes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I have a no blemish policy. I don't care if it's a tear halfway down the ear, that rat doesn't get sold. I don't care if it died of crook neck, which is like, they often have strokes and there's different reasons it could happen, but a big one is a stroke, and they walk around with their neck crooked in circles and stuff. You freeze that rat, you can't tell it has crook neck. You can't tell that it was a little twisted in the head or whatever. I will not sell that off. It's a deformed rat, whether it's whatever it is. You got to draw the line somewhere. So anything with any type of health problems, abrasions, missing eyeballs, tears, not live, not frozen, none of it.
So if it's just like a blemish, is that something you would just feed to your own collection?
I would feed my own, yeah. So I won't feed anything with cancerous growths on it, and I know that goes against a lot of rodent breeders that will. That's what they feed their, whatever's too gross to sell, that's what I'll feed my collection. I'm not like that. A broken leg, a torn ear, that's fine for my collection. Any type
something
of cancerous
cosmetic
growth, any type of infection of any sort, no.
Yeah, but see, that makes sense because, like, just if it's just something cosmetic, it's not affecting it. It didn't affect the physical health of the animal. It's not like it's tainted, I suppose. No. But yeah, an infection or disease or something like that, I don't want to feed that to my snakes at all.
And cosmetically, I notice a lot of people are very picky about their rodents. Like, a lot of people don't like blood in the packages at all.
Yeah, and that's out of our control, but you have to pull that bloody rat out. It happens. I mean, you didn't do anything to the rat. You're bagging up a bunch of rats, and one of them had a nosebleed or whatever the case may be, bled on the one beside it. You're scrubbing his fur, and if there's a blood spot that's noticeable, you got to take that rat out because it's going to leave them wondering, did these things die of natural causes, or did they put these down, or what? So
yeah,
it's important.
To me, a little bit of blood doesn't bother me because I know most times that they should be put down with CO2.
Yeah,
that's fine by me. But some people are really picky, and I totally understand that because a lot of people want high quality rodents.
And their snake only eats white rodents.
Oh yeah, I used to hear that. I don't play those games. I don't play my only snake only eats white rodents. I don't weigh my rodents for anybody. How much do they weigh? Roughly 100 grams, dude. Ask me many more questions, and I'm just gonna tell you no. I don't tail pick my rats. So every rat for the past 8 years gets picked up individually and moved from tub to tub, and they get a little health X-ray as I do it. You can feel their ribs real easy if they're having any type of food problem. You can feel just about anything that's wrong with the rat. If it's lethargic, it's got a weak leg, anything, you're not going to feel it picking up by the tail and dropping it. So people will often ask, what's your price list with your weights or whatever? And it doesn't matter what my price list and weights are, because 100-gram rat can be 100-gram deflated rat that hasn't eaten in a week, or it could be 100-gram chunky little rat that's perfect and healthy. So the weight doesn't matter. So, and anyway, I got off track there, I think.
No. We encourage tangents on this show because good information comes out of them.
Yeah. So I hate price lists. I hate people. Don't hate people, but My rats are 50 grams, yours are 100. Could you bring yours smaller? And then ours are 100 grams because we aim to produce rats at that size. If your current rodents are undersized and you want to stay there, that's fine. But we're not adjusting our sizes. We sell the big product.
I've heard that here in Alberta, that you I've only heard this. I don't know. I don't actually know. But apparently the feeder market, everyone is expected to go by the same price. And if your prices are different, you will be contacted.
Oh, is that so? Yeah.
It's what I've heard, but like...
I lead the way in price hikes on my end of the country, and I'm proud of it because our industry needs it. And my rodents speak for themselves. So there are so many people who have gone the other way, and then they'll message up one of my customers and, dude, I messaged him, but this was his prices. And yeah, but you should have just gone with him. I've been going with him for years. And I used to have to feed this snake 2 of these, but I only have to feed him 1 through this. So while his price is 50 cents more, you're actually getting 2 times as much meat. So you're actually saving $1 or something. And if you do the math on it pretty quick, your snakes are going to grow faster for less money. They're healthy rodents. This is one of the best suppliers you can get in with. Get in while you can. So
yeah, that's the best way to run your shit. I am selling you a premium product. Period. Your animals are going to benefit from this premium product.
Yep.
And everyone should know their worth.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're producing expensive animals, you should be wanting to feed premium food to your animals, not just cheap shit that you don't know what's going into to your feeder, because you want a high quality animal, so you should be putting high quality food into your...
I think it's too many people have gotten desensitized through those $1.50 rats that we had for years, because at $3 a rat, let's just say, what kind of pet can you feed for $9 to $12 a month? I mean, that's pretty good, man. A dog costs $100 to feed a month. So if you're looking at it as a pet, that's really good. That's a good price. If you want to have a collection of 10 or 20, that's not that bad. Maybe you should breed your own. If you're going to get into 100 or so snakes, then you either need to curb the snakes you're getting. So no longer buy $200 snakes, buy a $2,000 snake, and it makes it worth feeding that $3 rodent, and you're getting your return out of it in the end. So so it's going to force us all to concentrate on smaller amounts and more what we're interested in than branching off so wide with these little projects here and there that aren't worth as much, because they do cost to produce rodent wise, and space and hydro and time. And
everything costs money. It's not free.
Yeah.
As Jonathan said earlier, Mike over there massaging each rat producing Wagyu rats.
Oh my God, sorry. I already posted John's comment.
Yeah, over it though. There's some really good questions too there.
Yeah, there is. Hang on. Found it. Exoticophidian says, how many ball pythons are you up to now, Mike? And thank you for the Hidden Gene Woma banana het pied.
I'm glad somebody deciphered that, because I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
HW. Numbers always changing. So I got about 110, 120 snakes in ARS tubs. I've got another 50 or 60 in smaller size tubs growing up. But what I always tell people is, if you're going to aim to produce 15 clutches in a year, you might have to have 70 tubs full of snakes to do that. So I'm aiming for a 50% success rate. So if I have 30 adult females, I'm aiming for at least 15 of them to go. And you can't get stagnant in this. You've got to be replacing your genes in ball pythons. It's a fast moving game. So if you're going to have 30 adults, you need to have 30 yearlings that are getting ready to come up behind them. You need to have 30 hatchlings from this year getting ready to come up behind them. You just constantly got to be planning for the future. So 15 clutches means 30 actual adult breeder females, hoping half of them will go. It means another 30 for the next year, another 30, and you end up with 90 snakes in order to get those 15 clutches. So that's where I am. I've got 90 to 100 animals, but I'm aiming for 15 to 20 clutches. I got 23 last year, I think.
Sweet. Yeah, ball pythons are assholes to me.
Yeah, I love ball pythons. I know you guys don't like them too much.
It's not that we don't like them or anything like that. I have a house full of ball pythons. I had like no ball pythons before my partner and I got together.
And now you have all the ball pythons.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily ball pythons for me. I'm just less of a python in general fan.
Yeah.
You know, I just there's stuff I like better, but I spend my days taking care of ball pythons every day.
Me too.
I have 0 ball pythons in my house. Well, actually, that's not true.
$2, Brandon. If you say those words, it's $2.
I have some in my freezer, but
there you go.
Well, those ones didn't make it from a breeder friend of mine, so I feed them off to my
food for a king, or
yeah.
No, we're not allowed those. Oh wait,
King
okay,
snake.
we're allowed king snakes, not king cobras.
I'm not huge into the species and its behavior or anything like that, but in my older years, I guess you'll say, I've fallen for art. I love art that you hang on the wall. I love beautiful flowers. I love birds, and the things we can do with these ball pythons. It satisfies something within me that if I didn't have this hobby, I'd probably smoke crack. I don't know what I'd do. I need something to connect me, and that, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that picture back on the wall. My homie Khalil made that from 514 Reptiles.
That's
and
cool.
I probably spend 100 hours staring at that. I'll do mushrooms and stare at that for 8 hours. It brings my soul alive. And the snakes do the same thing. I mean, I get hair stands up on me, and anytime I produce something that was unexpected, or even thinking forward to something you could produce that hasn't been made yet, and oh man, if it looks like that, holy shit. It's an exciting thing. I love ball pythons, and a lot of it's for the palate. I know that it just sits there in your hand, maybe bites you once in a while, and I love getting bit too, by the way. But it's the palate.
Brandon does too.
It's great. Reminds you you're alive. I love it, man. I had a water snake chase me through my house a couple of years ago. I was jumping on the toilet. It was snapping at me. People say snakes don't chase you. The right snake will chase you.
Yeah.
I've had king snakes and water snakes chase me through my house. So I like all species, by the way. I started with berms, iguanas. I've had seals, turkey vultures, every type of animal in the world. I fell on ball pythons because of what you can do with them. They're just, the artistic palette is just never ending.
Hi, Nan. I see you.
Everybody has their favorite species that they like, and there's over 3,000 species of snakes, so there's a species out there for everybody.
Yeah. And I will say, I've been going to the expos for years, and I know a lot of Kluber guys and ball python guys. And 8-9 years ago, we were fist bumping and high fiving, and frog guy, leopard gecko guy, what's up? And there was no animosity. And the show, there was a few less ball python guys, so maybe that's what it was. We all felt like we had our own space at the shows, but there's become more animosity, and the groups are splintering, and the ball python, and the Kluber guys are over here, and I have no animosity towards anybody that breeds anything. I love it all. I still fist bump all those guys, but I hear it in the background all the time. It's a little annoying, ball python people this, ball python people that, and we have no animosity. I love everybody. I love corn snakes. I love, Burmese pythons. I love retics. Like I say, chameleons, frogs, turtles, whatever. So it's one love. It's one people, and I'm just happen to be playing with ball pythons in my sandbox.
I have a lot of ball python breeder friends, but I still razz them about it all the time.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is when one of our friends is like, look at this clutch, and Brandon just stares at them blankly because he doesn't know anything about ball pythons. Brandon knows this much about ball pythons.
But you know what a pied is, and you can't deny the awesomeness of a pied, right? A pied alligator, a pied deer,
or like leucistic animals, pied animals. They'll always be like,
I do have an appreciation for the different morphs and stuff. It's just it's not the snake for me.
I get you totally.
It's not their temperament for me. It's more so like for me that I can't even get the words out. They're just not quite the temperament for me. Realistically, I like something that's a little more, something that might keep me on my toes a bit more.
More enjoyable.
Well, it's not that it's not enjoyable, because like my goal with all the ball pythons that I have is to put all the males in like 4x2, like four by 2x2 bioactives. And then and females I want to put in 6 foots and give them the climbing space and that more complex environment, because that if I'm going to breed these animals, I want them to live with a life full of enrichment, right? It's not going to hurt them. Oh no, this animal has climbing opportunities. It's going to have better body condition. You know, like I just and I have no issues with rack breeders or anything like that. As long as keep your animals fed, clean, healthy, and I'm probably not going to have an issue with you. Yeah. But what I personally want to do is offer a big bougie palace.
Cool. You had somebody on your show, I think Mariah, that maybe it wasn't Mariah. Who was it?
No, that was Kayla.
Yeah. That does the air or the freedom breeder long closure type deals. Those are kind of neat.
Yeah, and I just I've seen a lot of people posting photos of their animals using like hides mounted to the top of the enclosure and stuff like that. And I think that adding things that encourages an animal that I think doesn't do enough to do more, that's the way to go for me, right?
Whatever works.
Yeah, then I'm going to get more enjoyment out of it. Because like I like the animals, it's just they just sit in bins. You don't really see them, so it's not as enjoyable for me. So I'm gonna go pour and fix it.
That's cool.
We have a whole swag of comments here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, Derek wants to know what your favorite genetic is in rats.
That's a good
I was afraid somebody would ask that. I have no idea. I get asked all the time what kind of rats they are, or something cool will pop up and I'll get 19 people trying to tell me exactly what it is. I don't pay attention to any of that. I got gray rats, I got black rats, I got orange rats, hooded rats, stuff like that. But they're all Norwegian rats initially, but I don't pay attention to it.
I like the Dumbos because they look stupid.
Dumbos are cool. Dumbos, little known fact, they grow bigger. So if you're aiming to sell jumbos to customers, the top end rat will grow to 800 or 900, like huge compared to a 600-700 gram jumbo rat. The hairless, if you're having problem feeders and you feed live, the hairless radiate at about 2.5 degrees warmer temperature than a normal rat because of no fur. They don't live as long because of the expended energy that comes from that. But when and I did this with 5 different times, hairless and a normal rat dangled above a snake, they go for the hairless every time, 5 out of 5 times. So they're queuing in on that heat. And I was doing that just to try and figure out if you could use them for problem snakes to try and get a little more heat going to set them off.
Sorry, Alberta, we don't count. We're still fucked. Let's try and get through some of these. It costs $15 for 2 medium rats at my local store in Sarnia, Ontario. I think I probably pay $7 a medium at the pet store. When I order from, I don't know what I pay from Thai. It's cheaper to order from Thai and pay for shipping though than the pet store, and that's all I care about.
Small town pet stores are always going to be a little more. Yeah, they have overhead. They don't have as many customers, and
it's a small town pet store inside a Home Hardware.
Oh yeah, that's about as small as it gets.
It's like, anyone remember when Walmart had fish tanks?
Oh yeah,
that's what it reminds me of when I go in there. It's good to know once I start getting rodents from Mike that everything is top notch. Hell yeah. I want to get rodents from Mike.
Another thing to address while you're looking at questions is when you're building your racks, because that's a question I get a lot. And don't cheap out. So if there's hardware cloth for $120, there's hardware cloth for $100, get the 120. There's a reason that extra $20 is attached to it. When you unroll it, you'll get pieces of wire snapping off of the cheaper stuff. every single place you try and save $1 breeding rats, it will cost you $10. And I mean that. You try and save 100, it'll cost you 1,000 every last place. From screws to nails to picking the right hosing to the wood you use to the tubs, everything. Any place I tried to cheap out, and there were about 15 of them, they all came back to haunt me. Rebuilding racks, ordering all new zipper systems, just everything, because you try and save that little bit of money and it bites you in the end. Just do it right. Run your hardware costs right to the end of your racks. Don't chintz. Get the good rodent zippers, flat tubs. So when you're ordering tubs, make sure they got a flat sill on the top. The rounded sills will always give you chew outs, and that's another thing nobody thinks about. And it's pretty important when you're picking your tubs that you're going to use.
That's been the bane of my existence.
Yeah. Are you using wooden homemade racks or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the wire.
I didn't make them, but like they're good. They work. They're great. It's the fuckers keep chewing out of the bins.
Yeah,
and I use the kitty litter bins from Dollarama.
So do I, and they're getting cheaper and cheaper. You used to be able to stand 3 people on one of those and they wouldn't break. If my 10-pound dog hops across one, they shatter. Now it's
we just picked up like a dozen of them, and the bottom one on the stack, it has holes in it from the manufacturer, like from the machine that pressed it. So if I did fill it with kitty litter, it would pour out through all these holes in the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, where's your quality control, idiot?
So that's something important, is when you're building your rack. I have an entire room of kitty litter pans. I wouldn't do that again. When I started, they were really thick, these containers. You could put concrete in them. 5 rats will literally buckle the edges now. You have to put supports under them. And every year they make them cheaper and cheaper. And my fear is they'll eventually discontinue them to a different kind of little piece of crap. And then we're screwed. So make sure you have a tub that's long lasting and that the company's been around for 10, 15 years and they're not going anywhere. If you're going to get to a size to where when you have to rebuild everything to fit a tub, it's not fun. So.
Yeah, I was hoping for my summer plan to be to rebuild all my racks, but with wood prices, I'm not doing that right now. But I wanted to use the concrete mixing tubs for fucking everything because I want to.
You do. I had concrete tubs. That's all I did for the first 3-4 years, and I tore all those out and put new ones in. I found
maybe I'll have to message you and
the airflow didn't get down in as deep as you want. So if you want to fill your room with tubs, it's hard to get that airflow down into the tub. So I found shallower tubs were key. I had a big problem with that. Like I on a day like today, 30-something degrees out here, I would lose 200 rats because of the heat that builds up in those tubs. Just switching to the other tubs down to a dozen. I mean, it was a big difference.
Good to know.
In the concrete tubs, they're constantly sleeping up against the sides, sucking air from the screen. So you can just tell that they're oxygen deprived in those tubs. But some people make it work. If you got a big enough room and really good airflow, it works. But for me, it didn't. And they've got the rounded lips where they can chew as well. So.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Tubs.
I'm really going to. We're moving in a couple months, so it'll probably be after the move that they do actually get rebuilt. But I'm going to do some serious bin research, I guess. Just something that has like a nice right angle.
The ARS tubs are perfect. I use them for growing rats up in. I've never had a single chew out, and I have maybe 50 of them. They're a flat top. You can squeeze them right up against the top, and they just can't get their teeth in there to chew. They're really thick. They last a long time. So if I had to do it over again, I would do my entire room in ARS 70 series semi-clear bins.
Jasmine says, that's the reason my animals at the shop cost more than box stores. I feed premium food, keep in premium cages. It's refreshing to hear other people understand the concept. Jasmine runs Schoolhouse Pets in Okotoks. She's really awesome.
Yeah, her store is really nice and
clean and nice. It's aesthetically pleasing and clean, and the animals are well cared for. And it's really nice. We did a live with Jasmine, and she did a shop tour and stuff like that, and I was I loved it. I loved it. You can tell that she's put her heart and soul into that place and she cares. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
thanks for being one of the good ones. What pricing in US dollars, in your opinion, is fair? I don't know what this is about. Sorry.
If that's rats, it's a completely different market. Couldn't tell you.
Doesn't apply. Not
No.
applicable. Also, would energy usage from transportation be a good reason to buy feeder rats and insects from local rat breeders and insect breeders?
Would energy usage from
Sorry, I'll put it back up.
be a good reason to buy feeder rats and insects? Energy usage, like trying to save hydro by buying it elsewhere? Is that the question?
I'm not sure. Hopefully they can comment back and clarify because I'm not 100% sure. Comment back for us. We need more detail. Brad, you were ruined before the ball pythons.
You way before.
Brad, you're
one of our
screwed
friends.
from the get-go.
Oh, yeah. Bad experience.
No. He just had his first clutch hatch, and he's like in love with it.
Good for him.
No. He got the disease. He got the virus.
It's like your first tattoo.
Yeah. He's been sending me a ton of pictures and stuff like that, and proud of you, buddy. Good job.
She commented at the bottom there.
Okay, let's throw that up quickly. Oh, do you want me to do it?
That's what you're the button person.
All right. Will you tell people about buying rats from China? Okay, I will go back.
So I think what her comment is about is trying to buy local versus shipping to wherever you live. So,
okay. If you can get a local supplier, I suggest that's the way to go. Then you can get your quality control, and you can deal directly with the person breeding the rats. As far as shipping, I don't ship rats, and I've never dealt with any type of shipment in rats.
Yeah, and you could develop that relationship with a breeder too. So that can be beneficial.
That's what it has to be. You have to have a relationship with the breeder. I have to be able to tell my customer, look, no, that's annoying me. And they need to understand, okay, he's working 60 hours. Maybe we'll move it to this day or whatever. But if you get customers that you're not on the same page with, and maybe they're not your friend, they kind of look at it like you're being a dick. Like, dude, curbside service means curbside service. And it doesn't. I'm not a store. I breed with certain people on days that we have prearranged a deal. And it's not, in 10 minutes, I got a 10-cent sale in 10 minutes. I got to be there. And yeah.
Well, and like people also forget that as business owners, you have the option to fire your customers.
Yeah, it's a good option.
You don't have to deal with people that you don't like. Fuck you. I will always be more content turning down a sale that with someone that gives me vibes I don't want to deal with. Why am I entrusting you with the life of a creature if I don't get a good vibe from you? Yeah. I don't need the money from this animal that bad to send it off to potentially its death.
Yeah. I do the same with rodents and snakes. I've had a couple of bigger customers in the past couple of years kind of come at me like, this would be a great opportunity for you. Like, it'd be a great opportunity for me to sell them rats. And that's an insult to begin with, but I just let that fly. And then they want a discount. I go through 100 rats a week, so I'd like to pay this much. And the price is right there. There's no negotiating the price. And my snake only eats, I'll bring home 50 rats, but only 40 of them will get eaten. I need you to take those other 10 back. Just stupid shit like that. Like, I deal with that on a regular basis. People feel so entitled, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that can get annoying in a hurry.
Yeah. But my regulars don't act that way. That's why I'm happy to have them. And Thankfully, only one of them drops off here and there when they get out of snakes, and then I got to find somebody new, and we got to go through the process of seeing if we mesh properly or not, and that's a 50-50, and if we do, right on.
Yeah, it is what it is. Some people come and go, and that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
It's better to have a smaller, solid group that you're working with than a huge crowd of fuckheads. So it'll be less stress. It'll be more reliable. Like, just
some of the guys
everything's improved.
Some of the guys I deal with have been in this over 20 years, and I tell them there's a rat shortage that's going to last 2 months. I can estimate that based on what I'm seeing. They don't bat an eye at that. They've seen it 10 times over, and it's not a big deal. I don't want to be dealing with people who haven't seen that yet. It's not that I don't want to deal with beginners or anything like that. It's just that's your learning curve. I just want to do my business as peacefully and most relaxing way I can, and educating you along the way is not it. I'd rather work my way up to people who already know what's going on, and they understand the rodent shortages, and they understand the prices, and they won't bat an eye at any of it. We're all on the same page here. Because I'm a ball python breeder. I mean, I breed rodents, but I can relate to what everybody goes through because I do it too. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, and ball pythons rock, by the way. I absolutely love them.
So despite not being the hugest fan, I do have a couple I have a project that I am trying to get all the puzzle pieces for, because I found a pretty fucking snake on Morph Market. Now I want to fucking make it.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Oh geez, what is it? It's a super blade lavender clown. It's like a yellow snake, which is like a white stripe, and just the contrast in it just like rustles my jimmies. So cool. I have pretty much everything. I'd like a male lavender het clown or opposite. Any combination of those two in a male. That's the only thing I need. And then I have everything. So
I haven't seen any morphs in what I'm trying to produce yet. So
no,
maybe one day. I got lots of normals.
Yeah. Well, there's new genes coming in every day, and when I got in 7 or 8 years ago, the hobby was it was changing. I think 70% of the people that were bending the expos were on their way out, and they were trying to discourage anybody coming in. Dude, we're on our way out. We've been doing this 10 years. It's over. You buy a snake for $1,000, you sell it for $500. That guy's going to sell it for $250. It's happening too quick. And those 70% of the people got out, and there was room for newer people to come in, and with smaller booths with 5 or 6 snakes for sale. And they started to grow into slightly bigger people. And the hobby's definitely on its way back up again right now. And there's so much cool shit to like. It's hard not to like something. Like I say, an old lady who hates snakes might like a white snake or a pied or whatever. The combinations now, there's just people who were getting out back then are coming back now, and they're like, dude, I wish I didn't get out. Look at that. I never knew that was possible. And it's just getting nicer and nicer. And
I find the reptile hobby cycle is about a decade.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. I have been in the local community for a decade now, and I've just been watching people cycle through it, and I've noticed some trends, and after about 10 years people tend to say fuck this, and then sometimes a couple years later they'll be like, never mind, I'm back. I'm still here. But you also mentioned about how like a little old lady might be scared of snakes, but might like a pied or a leucistic just because it's different, it's visually appealing, it's pretty. And you're absolutely correct. Like, I think ball pythons are one of the best introductory animals to get people into the hobby. I just think that the pet stores selling these animals to the general population that's buying them need to be better informed. So I think the root of like that issue goes to the pet store. But ball pythons are fantastic for the reptile community, in all honesty, because how many people just went to the pet store with their parents as a kid and got their first ball python, their first bearded dragon, most of us probably. Okay, not me. I don't count. I'm a third generation reptile keeper. And my child is fourth generation. So like I think it's in my genes at this point. Like I was raised with an iguana. So yeah, ADHD tangent going.
Oh, it's all good. I traveled the world as a kid, and the same thing. We lived in the Arctic and up on the Arctic tundra, and we were the only people up there with a snake probably ever. My dad had his little tank of mice, and he had his ball python when I was 9 or 10 years old, going back 35 years. So from a little kid, I was desensitized to reptiles and everything, and I was born in Australia. So
like, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say maybe 16. So a few years later, that's when I caught my bug. I got my first ball python, my first Burmese python, my first iguanas and all that.
We first pet so my dad had a Moluccan cockatoo before him and my mom got together, and we had a macaw at one point. So it was, I was raised with birds first, and then my mom worked at Rona, and so in the gardening center they get the little carry-on some days, and they started sending them home with my mom because my dad had other. My dad had like an alligator snapping turtle, like all kinds of crazy stuff. This was before I was around, so I didn't get to see any of these super cool things, just old photos of his. But you got a monitor when I was a little kid, so I've always been raised around like pissy bitey reptiles. I think that's why I don't like ball pythons. They're not pissy enough.
Yeah.
Got a couple more. Oh, I scrolled too far in the comments.
Yeah, I've had my dad got a boa when I was 10 years old, so I've liked snakes pretty much even before that, because I lived in a Sylvan Lake, so that town used to be called Snake Lake in the early 1900s before they changed it. So there was garter snakes there all the time. So I was always catching garter snakes and stuff like that. So
childhood experiences are important, I think.
Yeah. And we've had Cuddles is now 18. So we've had Cuddles for 18 years, and she's doing fantastic. She's a big girl, just a normal boa constrictor, but she's amazing. She just looks awesome. I think normals are underrated because there's a lot of morphs out there. Morphs are great, but normals also look fantastic.
Yeah,
I have more normal boas than like anything else in my house. I have Conga, who was Gwen's. She's 20 something like that. I have Bo, he's like 14, 15. I have the boa that Brandon and I rescued from Saskatchewan. Ethel, she's like 30 years old. They're just normals, and I love them all. I even love Bo when he bites me. he was my they're all BIs, just normal BIs, but his full name is Bocephus. But he was my very first rescue ever, and I still got him. Like I got him in 2004 or something like that, I think, and still have him. And he is the biggest problem child of my collection, and always has been. But I fucking love him for it. I'm the problem child too. That he's been through a billion breakups with me, a million moves. You know, he's my ride or die snake.
I always feel a bigger kinship towards my animals when they stick with me when a relationship goes to hell. So you stuck with me.
Yeah,
where else were they gonna go, right?
Well, all the reptiles that my ex took died.
Oh shit.
Right? Like, well, it just shows who was caring for the animals and who
We've
wasn't.
got about 5 normals over here, and this is the only one that doesn't pay rent.
That's a thick lady.
I was going to say, that's a big ball python.
How much
She's-
does she weigh?
Probably 6,000 grams.
Wow. Cody has like a Mojave that's real big like that. And what size rets do you feed her?
So I was feeding her jumbos maybe 3-4 times a year because that's just how she is.
Yep.
And now I feed her mediums maybe once a month. She don't move. She sits in the back corner.
Yeah.
And if you overfeed her, it's not good for her. She gets lethargic and sits in her own big pile of moldy shit. And yeah. I used to have her in a big tub as well, and she wouldn't eat in the big tubs. You got to put her in a little 26 quart where she's tucked in the back corner. That's just how she wants to live her life.
Yep.
I feel the same way, girl. Hang on, I'm gonna work through some of these comments here. Lucas, my freaking cheer squad, I am alive. Finally. I almost died, sorry. My bad. I'm here. There, he said he wants to be involved in the next live. Shoot us a message. Where are you're posting from YouTube? So, you can email us at chp.podcast@gmail.com or pop over to our Facebook page and shoot us a message. Don't worry, Lucas. It will be posted so you can rewatch it.
And listen to the audio.
And listen to the audio. Oh, okay, I understand. A year back, I caught a boreal chorus frog and loved catching bugs as a kid. Yeah, that's like... Yep, I think that's kind of how we all started, is catching bugs and frogs outside. And the boreal chorus frogs are one of the native species you're actually allowed to keep here in Alberta. That doesn't apply to our laws.
Yeah, the laws are ridiculous. I like the grazed tree frogs.
I haven't seen those.
No, they're all around here. You don't see them very much unless they come down out of trees. You just hear them, and most people think they're bugs. But if you're lucky enough to see one, they're real camouflage artists.
Brad says he loved Reptile World as a kid before it closed down. So I didn't ever get to go to Reptile World, but one of my most vivid memories from when I was a kid was going to the Calgary Zoo before they renovated it, and I just remember the snake area. It was all red lighting. It was this dark hallway with these little windows you could look in, and they were just illuminated by red light. And that's where they kept all their snakes. It's just this awfully lit dark hallway with crappy red lights where you couldn't really see shit.
That's
But,
what reptile rooms used to look like. They all had the red light in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Reptile World. I went there once. They had a boa constrictor named Brittany, just like what Alice Cooper had.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of neat.
Nice.
I gotta find my place in these comments. Excuse me. Exotic Ophidian says, I'll be shooting for Hidden Gene Woma Super Banana Pied in my first project once my female is up to size. That sounds ambitious.
It does.
Kick ass.
I
Get it.
I have no idea what all those genetics mean, but yeah, you do that.
May the genetic gods be with
It'll be
you.
cool. It'll be cool.
I love normals too. Normals kick ass. They really do. A lot of the animals that I have only have normal phases. They don't have morphs, and I like them. I like them.
90% of my collection is probably normals because I only have a Sunglow boa, a high white Cali king, And I think that's the only two animals with morphs.
Normals are good.
My oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially with ball pythons, you just add 1 or 2 genes to them, and your babies aren't normals.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm getting there. Wow, am I caught up?
I think so, maybe. So for your rat racks, do you build them all? Because I know it's like some places like Falcon Ridge out in Saskatchewan, she has a whole stainless steel facility. It's not very large, but it's pretty snazzy. So how do you do your setup?
I build them all, and like I said, I wish I could start over. I do it all with ARS tubs, but you learn as you go. And if I could afford Freedom Breeder tubs, I'd be using that, like the full Freedom Breeder racks. But they are literally 10 times as much as what it was to build before the wood prices just went up. So with these wood prices going up, I think it's going to be almost a better option to go with ordering full metal racks, because my average rack that costs $150 to build is closer to $450 right now.
Yeah, wood prices are insane.
You're looking at an initial $30,000 to build a rodent shack, and now you're up to $100. That's not just a little hobby venture anymore. It's
no.
Do you think it's feasible to have, like, for rodents, a rack welded? I'm sure there's metal racks, aren't they? But like,
sure.
I'm thinking like HSS for like the leg sports, I guess, and like little.
There's a dude named Freddie Hernandez down in the States, and he breeds ASF escape-proof tubs. He's been doing it for years, and he's got into ball pythons and now ball python displays for expos and stuff. He just worked his way up from those racks. But those ASF's racks, everybody who's into rodents in any way turned their head like, holy shit, dude. And they weren't for sale yet, but he started custom building them. And then, like I say, he moved into some other things. But there are some people who make really kick-ass folded aluminum or metal racks, and they're chew-proof, but they are expensive and heavy to ship, so you got to be local for something like that. But
local welders, message me. I have disposable income coming up. I want a powder-coated rack.
Or Terry Lahance, whatever his name is, he does rodents locally here, and he builds the racks. He's the guy who builds everybody their rodent racks. If you don't build your own around here, he now offers the metal tubs that go into the wooden racks, and I guess that's better than nothing. But
Brandon, let's go for a drive.
Well, I know some welders in the area, so
yeah.
Well, I do too, actually. Ooh, I know a TST welder.
See, now you're thinking.
That's what I'll do.
The gears are finally turning.
I'll support one of my communities while taking care of my other community.
Even when everything's running tip top, chew outs are still your main pain in the ass. So if you can,
that's like the bane of my existence with these stupid mice right now. So I want to.
You get an arch nemesis, and it'll just about ruin you. I had a rat when I went away to a CRB for 3 days a couple years ago. He chewed 200 zipper hoses. So I only had 300 tubs in the room. He flooded 200 of them. Just insane. And then when I got back and I'm fixing them all, I'll fix 2 lines of them. I'll turn around. I'm fixing those, and I feel water in the back of my neck. Little bastard just re-chewed one I just fixed, and he's running up and down the room, and just
your
devil.
Food. Your
Sometimes
food.
Sometimes it takes
now.
you a week to catch them, and those are headache rats.
Luckily, my cats pay rent, and
cool.
So whenever we've had escapes, sometimes I'll like get up in the morning and it's like, oh, that's a disembodied rodent, and that's when I go look for holes in bins. We have a couple more comments here. I heard red lights are actually not good for the reptiles because they can see it. You are not incorrect. But what we were talking about was like old school facilities.
Yeah, before the new information came out, which I believe wasn't that long ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't even that long ago. But the main reason. Okay, so when we interviewed Dr. Kelsey Chapman from avian and exotics, I specifically asked her about red bulbs. And what she said was it didn't harm them, but they can see the light, so it disrupts their like sleep rhythm and stuff like that. And as someone with like hardcore insomnia, not sleeping makes you go crazy.
And something without eyelids that would probably bother you.
Yeah, exactly. So
I just always figure when you look at those red lights for too long and you leave the room, everything's now green or purple or whatever. It can't be good for an animal either.
Yeah, distort their vision to some extent.
Yeah. So don't use red lights.
We got a couple more comments still.
Yeah. I actually got my first ball python the day after my kid's mother left. So my snakes mean a lot to me. Yeah.
Nice.
Did you pour all your broken-hearted love into that snake? Yeah, I bet you did, because I did that with a puppy. And now he's a
Whatever
very
works.
He's so sucky.
Nice.
I poured my broken heart into a dog, and now he's my best friend when I'm sad. Grant Crossman says you have his endorsement.
Grant.
Keep up the vision.
We
Thanks,
gotta get
Grant.
Grant on one of these days.
Grant's a good dude.
Yeah, we do. Especially with how much we've been talking to him lately.
just not when the Maple Leafs are playing. So
Pivotal part of our community, and we're lucky to have him.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We have been talking to Grant periodically for some can herp stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's something that we want to be part of, and because I'm current vice president of the Alberta Reptile Amphibian Society, and I do some stuff with the local bylaws and some other stuff like that. So I want to help the community across Canada and within Alberta to the best of my ability, and I think that's a good move for us.
Yep.
cool.
Yep. Absolutely agree. Grant says no Leafs jokes. But what about that game?
Ooh,
Oh, rubbing salt in the wound.
Hey, I'm dating a Leafs fan, okay?
my mom's boyfriend's a Leafs fan, and I bought him a book for Christmas on why the Maple Leafs suck. He was so mad at me.
That's mean.
Yeah,
Tyler literally like paid to watch it on like some stupid subscription service. He's still bitching about it. But he didn't even finish watching the game. He rage quit. He put on his jersey and everything, and like he went all out to watch this game, and he rage quit watching it. And I was like, ooh, ouch. And then we were walking somewhere the next day, and they were selling a Maple Leafs bird house, or like a bird feeder. And I looked at the price. I was like, that's not worth $120. The Leafs aren't worth that right now. They don't deserve it. But I don't give a shit about puck sport.
I'm lucky I never got into hockey. I watched my dad ups and downs as Montreal wins and loses over the years. And
like I grew up in Calgary, so like I grew up cheering for the Flames as a kid because it's what all my family watched. I don't give a shit about hockey.
yeah, I was 10. My dad said pick a team, and I thought he meant any team in hockey, not Montreal or Toronto, because those were the two playing. We were in Montreal watching the game. I said Philadelphia. He kind of looked at me weird, and he never talked hockey with me again. So I tried to stick with Philadelphia for a few years, but it was just me. So.
Oh, we got a wicked comment from Grant. Where do you see the Canadian herp community and herp industry in 2 and 5 years?
That's a really great question.
That's a great question.
That is a good question. He's asking the right guy, because I really have a lot of faith in it. Like I say, that little downfall that took a few years ago, that's done and over with. And there's guys like me in the hobby now, and I'm spreading nothing but up and up and up and up. Up we go. The venue's got to get bigger and bigger. We got to start dressing better. We got to start just being better people. Yeah, be better to each other. I mean, I want the expos to go back to what they used to be. And these little splintered communities and whatnot. That's the past. There's a lot of positive people right now. And Jason Thomas from Nyoka Balls, one of the most solid, most just awesome dudes in our end of the country. Manny Singh from Operation Python, Christian Jorgensen from Morphin These are all just like salt of the earth type guys. They're why I'm in this. And as long as there's enough guys like that, it's going to be nothing but up and up, because we're bringing people up with us. And I can tell you 7 or 8 years ago, I made around $7,500 on my second or third year actually breeding anything. And I thought that was awesome. I thought if I can, the next year I took off because my snakes didn't go. The year after I made around 10 or 12,000, and then it was 25, and I made almost 100 grand this year doing what I love. I mean, I love ball pythons. I'm sticking with it. And then, like I said, the venues are just going to get bigger and bigger, especially with Grant, with his awesome venues. He's been moving the venues up in stature for us over the past couple of years. And when this COVID shit disappears for a little bit, we're going to come back in such a celebratory mood that the expos are going to be twice as big as they were before. I guarantee it.
Brandon, we're traveling, right?
I know. We got to go to that expo one of these days.
Yeah,
I plan on coming to yours, so I expect you guys to come out to ours.
Yeah, no, I've only been to shows in Alberta, and we just had a new show announced just before COVID hit, and that we were all pretty excited about. The WCRE guys that do the Red Deer show, they were going to do a WCRE Lethbridge, which gives us access to Medicine Hat. Thank you. It gives us Albertans access to a whole bunch of Saskatchewan breeders that can't travel to Red Deer and stuff like that. So it opens up the colubrid market like crazy.
Yeah. Except for now, because Saskatchewan's laws just changed, so they're for a world of hurt and a bunch of big shit shows. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
If you're in Saskatchewan, write a letter to your MLA.
That's
literally, if you live in Saskatchewan and you have something to say about the laws that they just put in place, get together with your community and write a letter and distribute it to each and every one of your MLAs.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah, and be professional in the letters. We have to represent ourselves in a positive light when we are battling the government, and just in general. I know that being less bitchy is one of the things I'm working on. And
you can be witchy. You can be bitchy. Just word it properly and don't swear when you're doing it. And
yeah, you just gotta be professional.
Yeah.
And there's professional ways to be bitchy about things.
I respond to people who come at me.
As per my last email. As per my last email.
So how about you guys? How's the expos out there? Are you having expos yet, or
not yet?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Probably the fall.
How about when they are going?
They're good. They're fun.
So our largest expo is here in Calgary.
Yeah.
And not last year, but the year before, we had over 5,000 people show up to the expo.
Yeah.
And that has been, I believe that was the largest amount of people to show up to an expo in the last
2019, the end of 2019 there.
Yeah, because we usually have a fall and a spring show, and both had about the same amount of numbers because I was working the expos at the time, because the Alberta Reptile Amphibian Society puts the Calgary show on. The Edmonton Reptile Amphibian Society puts on their Edmonton show, and the WCRE does the Red Deer show, and now the Medicine Hat show. So we have quite a variety. The WCRE is once a year versus our shows, which are twice a year. So
yeah, we've been meaning to come out and check out the WERC or whatever it is there, but haven't made it out yet.
It's a really cool show.
It's a great
Billy
show.
From Mutation Creation came 20.
Yeah, I remember they came out. Yeah, I like Phil Robinson's out your way. I really like him, so I had to stop by.
Phil's
and check
fantastic.
Out that
show. Yeah, Phil is awesome.
You know, if you want some cool ass ball pythons, Alberta's the place to come.
Yeah, we got some.
If you want anything else, don't come here.
Hey, we have cool colorbred breeders and some awesome boa breeders too. So
Yeah, and I think that's all coming back to be honest. I know we tip towards 80-90% ball pythons at these shows, but if I'm a ball python guy and I want to see a colubrid guy next to me, the thirst for it's out there. I see people making moves, buying these snakes that are a few $1,000 and keeping it secret and trying to introduce a new something into the hobby that wasn't there before. And there's a place for everybody. I think the whole thing's going to grow.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And like, you can see things fluctuate year to year, So excuse me, sorry. I want more cool colubrids, guys. Breeders working with the cool long skinny stuff. Come on. Come to Alberta, show me.
My buddy
please.
Joe Birch has got some good stuff going. He always vends the expo.
I really like Joe.
Joe's
Yeah,
good
he's
shit.
stuff.
Yeah.
He's been tuning into a lot of our live streams.
Joe, Grant, Mark,
He's sticking
Mandic,
around in here,
these are just
actually,
all
or was.
pillars that all set a great example, and we're lucky to have guys like that around. Joe's good shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Grant
Vannon,
has
I saw you had Vannon on. If that's how you say his name, I really like that dude too.
Bannon is awesome.
Yeah.
Vanan is the reason this show exists.
He's
Really,
also
yeah?
one of my mentors. So when I have some tough questions, I talk to
Yeah.
him and stuff. And
We've ended a table. I kept walking away from the table doing my thing, but we got to meet each other one weekend a bit, and we almost went out and partied, but I had a feeling we were going to party too hard if we went out. So I had to tell, dude, I'm going back to the hotel. Otherwise, I won't make it to my table tomorrow. So, but he seemed like good shit for sure.
I go to expos to get my Vanan hug.
Yeah.
He is one of the most uplifting people in the community, and he always makes you fucking feel good. Whether it's shooting the shit about like issues that are bugging you in real life or just talking animals, he's fantastic. And I remember talking to him, I was like, I think I want to start a podcast. Like, I think I want to. And he's like, good, you get to be the voice for Western Canada, and that's a great idea, so you should do it. And it's like, people like this idea? Like, what? What?
Cool.
And then Brandon and I met at CRE 2019, I think. I think we had like started messaging on Facebook shortly before that, and then we met in person at that expo. This is the one where 5,000 people came.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time meeting, and we hit it off. And I think it was like 2 weeks later, I was like, y'all want to do a podcast with me?
Cool.
And then the gears got turning, and here we are.
Excellent. Yeah, you've had a few good guests on. I've listened to a few of them. I've had a chance to catch up a bit. I must admit, until maybe a month or two, I didn't know half the podcasts that were out there. I'm so old school. I go looking at the old Herper Parade podcast from 8 years ago, hoping they're still online.
There's a lot of podcasts out there, so there's a lot of great content people are making.
Yeah.
There's a ton. I just, none of them are not correct. Just not many of them are Canadian based. So we have such a solid reptile community and some really, really phenomenal breeders and stuff. And I just felt like it was a market that was getting skipped out on, that was too good to miss.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's cool.
And what other Canadian podcasts are there besides Dylan's? Animals at Home, wicked show.
I know
absolutely wicked show.
Mark Mandic from Marcus Jane Ball Pythons has been talking for the past year or two now about doing one, and when he does, it's going to be next level.
Yeah, that'd be really sweet.
He's going to cook for the guests, a little wine and whatnot. He's got this amazing sitting area out back with just sumac trees covering over and mood lighting, and it's going to be cool.
That's wicked.
It is wicked.
One day, Brandon and I will be able to sit in a room and record together. Our whole original envision of this entire thing is not what this show is. And because COVID made us had to change literally everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. So once COVID's over, we want to do what we were originally planning, and like having a nice studio or something like that to record in, where we can actually put some
That'd be
production value into it and stuff like that would be really, really sweet. But
It's working good right
COVID.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
COVID was
yeah.
wor- Yeah.
You got to adapt, right? We
Yeah.
made it work, and Brandon started a family, so like we had to manage a new baby in the podcast and like new jobs and this and that, and it's just all about adapting.
Yeah.
Constant adaptation.
Yeah.
Kiana's dying from COVID. Reschedule interview.
Grant has another great comment for Michael.
Oh, what do we got?
First morph you had, favorite morph, and dream morph in 30 seconds. Oh crap, I can't time this.
Oh, shit. First morph, dream morph, and favorite morph. First morph I ever had was a normal, if you want to say morph, I guess it was Mojave. My favorite morph right now is the Jag. And what was the other question?
I think it was just in 30 seconds.
And dream morph.
Dream morph.
Dream morph. I've already got Jaguar. Jaguar is like super hot codon gene right now, and it's already taken off. It's not gonna take off.
I saw that when you posted the other day, and that looked really, really sick.
It's in its infancy, and it's garnishing attention from everywhere that counts. So that's I love tri-stripes. Miyagi's my own gene I'm working on, but definitely Jaguar.
Sweet.
That is sweet. What are some morphs that you plan to produce this year?
Tri-stripes again. So I bought into the electric project almost 7 years ago now through Chris Towers. And Chris and I vended the expos together for 4 or 5 years. He became a good friend. And that project animal, the first electric I bought off him, the first year I bred it to multiple females, and I was not only producing electrics, but I was producing some other weird stuff we couldn't quite figure out what it was. And the next year Chris produced tri-stripes using a sibling to one of mine. So we figured that the weird thing we were seeing was probably a heterozygous look of some sort of a het tri-stripe. So I assumed I had het tri-stripe for several years. I kept about 10 snakes back. I raised them up. If you feed each snake $100 a year times 10 snake, you're $3,000 into hoping that you have what you think you have. And then last year we finally hit tri-stripes. We hit 4 of them. So this year we've got some repeat pairings, and we'll be hitting some more tri-stripes and trying to help out a few of the people out there who are actually needing tri-stripes that I was not willing to let go of this year. Jaguar, we're producing a few more Jags, mostly for holdbacks. We might sell a couple. Jag head Ultramel, some Jag OD stuff. A couple pied clutches, a lot of project stuff. I have a gene called Secret Shit, and I'm putting it to a few things this year, trying to produce another Secret Shit and see what comes from that project. And
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more comment, and then I think we'll probably wrap her up. Exotic Ophidians says, I've never been to an expo before, and I cannot wait to do so. Oh God. So you'll never be the same.
I'll have you selling t-shirts at my booth at the next one, brother.
That's wicked.
That's gonna be a reptile overload. Because even if you've been to like 10 reptile expos, it's still an overload.
The CRB is big. We had Miguel there last time, and Justin Kobylka and Ozzy Boyds, and just everybody. And at one point, they were all at our table at once. So I got a real cool picture of it. But with all the American bigwigs coming up here and paying respect and whatnot, it's a really good time. And if you're into the YouTube thing at all, you're going to see everybody that you know at these shows.
That's
and
cool.
They're all receptive
really
to you coming up and, dude, I love you. And it's all a big family. So
it's that whole community aspect where everyone, we know everyone from this side of the country to that side of the country online, but those expos actually give us an opportunity. I put too many letters in that opportunity to meet some of the friends that we've made actually in person. How often do you get to meet your internet friends and they're as awesome as they are in real life?
So I imagine it'd be like
I love the
Comic-Con,
community.
It'd be like a Comic-Con, but better.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't care about that stuff.
Oh,
Nothing against anime. Don't come at me, anyone. I will send my weeb child after you. Ankle biter.
Grant says November this year, CRB is the plan.
Okay, let's go, Brandon.
Right on. I better order my displays.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody tuning in. Don't forget to check out Miko Reptiles and Enclosures. And for all your pet needs, check out My Pet Paradise. And Kiana, didn't we get a new affiliate code that we forgot to mention earlier?
No, it's not quite set up yet.
Okay, so you have to wait again.
Sorry, it's not quite set up yet. It's been accepted. It's just not set up.
Sweet. So yeah, check out Miko and My Pet Paradise. And thanks for coming on, Michael. This was a great talk. I learned a lot about rats that I did not know before.
Well, it's just like being Albertans, we don't really have the opportunity, right?
Yeah, but it's not everybody asks these kind of questions about what goes into their feeders.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. And a lot of what I learned here, I'm going to try and apply to my mice breeding and stuff like that. So.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. And Kiana, any help you need at all setting up your rat stuff, just holler. Hopefully you can avoid some of the pitfalls I've made and make it work right the first time.
Yeah, for sure. Not rats, but mice.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, there you go.
I don't want to get spanked by the government. Very specifically breeding mice and African soft furs.
There you go.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget to grab life by the hemipenes.
Oh, and go follow us everywhere and share this video because it was.
They know where to find us.
Really
Google
fun.
us. You can find us.
Go leave me a review somewhere.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts or whatever. Google, the places that you can leave reviews because it's not Spotify.
No, it's Facebook and Apple Podcasts. I think. Actually, I think that's the only place. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This was really fun.
See y'all on the next one.
Don't forget to grab life by the hemipenes.
Yeah.